Hi everyone, my name is Jenny and welcome back to my creative space. In today's video, I am going to be talking about my anticipated releases for fall of 2025, and at any point when I'm looking down, I have the book synopsises up on my laptop, so I will be relaying that information to you that way, but this is just going to be a casual chit chat, so get a drink, a little snack, and we're going to talk about some of the books that I have on my list. We are going to be going by month, but the first book that I have is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. By the time I'm filming this, it should be out this week. I believe I will be putting this up on Sunday. Release date is August 26th. Short and sweet version of this synopsis is that two academic rivals have to go down to hell and rescue their professor. I have been hearing a bit of mixed things about this book, so I am just really anticipating reading it and seeing my thoughts and opinions. I haven't looked at in-depth reviews of it, but I've seen some star ratings and they're either quite low or quite high, so who knows? Hopefully this one's a hit for me, or, I just at least have fun with the book. I don't know if it's going to be a new favorite, but, I'm hoping at least a 4-star read for this. The next book that I have on my list is Sweet Heat by Bolu Babalola, but this one is a follow-up to Honey and Spice, and it's Kiki when she's, well out of college. I'm not going to read too much into the synopsis as it could spoil some of the information that goes on in Honey and Spice, but I just really love this cover and I think it is so beautiful and stunning, and I don't think we often see contemporary romances that years down the line get a sequel, so I'm really interested to see what's going on with our main girl Kiki in that one. The next book that we have is A Blood as Bright as the Moon by Andre Monstro-Bellini. This book comes out September 2nd as well. I will be honest with you, I'm not really a big fan of the cover. I think it's mostly when I see exposed muscle that just makes me very uncomfortable. The synopsis is: a vampire desperately torn between worlds is hunted down by a secret society bent on his destruction. In this eleic and unsettling queer gothic horror, perfect for fans of T. Kingfisher and Silvia Moreno Garcia. For me, I haven't really read too much from T. Kingfisher. I think I've only read one novella from them before, and Silvia Moreno Garcia isn't an author I've read from yet, so the two comp authors don't really do that much for me, but what really intrigued me about this release is that it is dealing with vampirism, and I am somebody who really enjoys that in books. But it seems like this one leans slightly more modern day, so I'm really interested to see what the horror aspects of this novel will be. The next book that I have is You Weren't Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White. To be transparent, I don't know if I will be reading this book anytime soon because of the content warning the author put up for this, but I did want to share as this, the thematics of the story sound really interesting and could be an incredible adult horror novel. This one is Andrew Joseph White's adult debut. I believe they have written multiple YA horrors that I've seen at my local barns, and the covers of them are incredibly stunning. So this book comes out September 9th, and the synopsis is: festering masses of worms and flies have taken root in dark corners across Appalachia. In exchange for unwavering loyalty and fresh corpses, these hives offer a few struggling humans salvation, a fresh start. It's an offer that none refuse. Crane is grateful. Among his hive followers, Crane has found a chance to transition, to never speak again, to live a life that won't destroy him. He even meets Levi, a handsome ex-Marine and brutal killer who treats him like a real man, mostly. But when Levi gets Crane pregnant, the hive demands the child's birth, no matter the cost. Crane's desperation to make it stop will drive the community that saved him into a devastating spiral that can only end in blood. This book comps Alien and Midsommar as thematics for this adult debut. Again, I think because there are the thematics of pregnancy and obviously the body horror that comes with that, that's not something that I personally like to read in horror. I think it becomes a little bit too much, but thematic wise, I think this has a lot to be said and can be an incredible horror. I just think, unfortunately, some of the actual like physical body horror aspects of this could be a little too triggering for me. So I will be anticipating more people reading this so I can read their reviews and hopefully I can get more detail on like how detailed these body horror aspects can be. But I think this could be an incredible adult horror for this year, so hopefully somebody here watching this video will go ahead and pick that one up. The next book that I have coming out the same day, September 9th, Blood Moon by Brittany S. Lewis. This one is a YA paranormal romance, and from what I've heard in regards to this book, it's inspired by Bonnie from Vampire Diaries, and honestly, that's all I needed to know. I think this one focuses a little bit more on the werewolf side of paranormal, but I'm very interested to see what goes on in this one, as Bonnie is one of my favorite characters from Vampire Diaries when I did watch it, and hopefully this one is a fun little paranormal YA romance to read. Coming into the latter half of September, on the 23rd, we have We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. I have seen this pitched as a prequel sequel to Bunny. What a prequel sequel is, Lord knows. This seems much more of a sequel given the synopsis. Our main character, Samantha in Bunny, has written a debut novel that has gained critical acclaim, and on her press tour for this book, the bunnies that she had this MFA program with end up kidnapping her and telling their perspective of the things that happened in Bunny to her, and each of the bunnies gets to have their own moment to talk about their experience, as they are very unhappy about the way Samantha has portrayed them in her novel. For me, when I read Bunny, I really enjoyed the fever dream aspects of that book, so I'm very interested to see what We Love You Bunny is like in tone, and also what it adds to the story, as I think Bunny in and of itself is such a fantastic standalone. I don't think I personally need more add-ons to it, but I'm very interested to see what Mona Awad's vision for that story is. On the same day, we have the release of The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bavellino. This one is this more night-themed fantasy that I've been seeing so much of recently, and the synopsis says that she will be his blade on the battlefield, his healer and protector. The deep well of raw power inside her is Kyr's to use. Gray would do anything for Kyr, be anything for him if only he asked. When a quest to protect the child of an enemy kingdom pulls them into a dangerous heart of their nation's war, Gray and Kyr will need to decide what they are willing to sacrifice to protect their secret. For Gray is no ordinary magical well, but heir to the lost island of Locke, the root of all power. If she dies, all magic dies with her. The Second Death of Locke is a devastating romantic epic fantasy about the undying bond between a knight and their mage, perfect for fans of Gideon the Ninth and Six Deaths of a Saint. I have read Six Deaths of a Saint, which is a novella written by Alex E. Harrow, and that one I loved. So this, having that as a comp, is something that really interests me, and I'm really excited to pick this up when it comes out. I hope it has a very atmospheric, very soul-wrenching romance in this. It seems to be the case, but who knows? I really want that slow burn, yearning, aching feeling in this book, and synopsis alone, it feels really good vibe-wise, so hopefully that becomes a new favorite. On September 30th, we have a new series from Lila Sage, who wrote the Rebel Blue Ranch series. In this new series, it's called Sweetwater Peak, and in book 1, we follow our main character who is coming back to the small town that her parents live in because she's lost her job wherever she's at, and she's kind of running home with her tail between her legs, but she's not letting that known to her parents. And for some reason, she has to like rent out a room above this man's like store or whatever, and there's a romance between the two of them. The twist of this series is that it has paranormal influence. So our main character apparently was able to see and talk to ghosts, and just recently, due to some reason she does not know, she's not able to communicate with a ghost like she used to. And so there's some sort of paranormal thing going on in the town, and I think she needs to reconnect with her ability to like speak to the spirits. Honestly, when I read this synopsis, I was like, okay, yeah, just like another small town romance, because I've seen that happen with like Elsie Silver with the Gold Rush Ranch thing, and then the other one with the Heartless, that series, and then there's that new series with like all the single parents. And they've all just been like these sort of cowboy romance, but in different locations, versus this one, it's a paranormal ghosty romance. Like it's really giving, what's that Jennifer Love Hewitt show, Ghost Whisperers? Like that's the vibes. And so I'm wondering how many books are going to be in Sweetwater Peak. Like, is it going to just follow this couple and we're going to have like these paranormal investigations with this couple, or are we going to have more couples that are also seeing ghosts? I am intrigued to see how this one gets pulled off, as I think paranormal and romance, specifically ghosts and romance, I don't know if that works for me, because I just really have this connection with ghosts being very scary, spooky, and nothing is fun and sexy about that, to me at least. You know, I'm not yucking anybody's yum, but to me, I'm just too scared for that to be fun, you know? So we'll see how this goes. Hopefully it is a fun time. Given my track record with Lila Sage, I think she does write a lot of fun romance, so hopefully this is more silly goofy than like scary creepy. That's my hope there. And then also the same day of September 30th, we have Every Spiral of Fate, which is book 4 of this Woven Kingdom series by Tahereh Mafi. I won't say too much about that, as it is the 4th book in an ongoing series. Very excited, and you know, crossing my fingers that we get a lot more yearning and a lot more down bad moments, because honestly, book 3, the yearning, desperation, oh, it was so fun. And then getting into the month of October, I believe this book was put on my radar because I think Ocean Vuong posted this on his Instagram, and the book is called And the River Drags Her Down by Ji Yun Yun. In this one, the synopsis says, "She has always known the rules: never resurrect anything larger than the palm of her hand. But this is before her sister died. A chilling, compulsive exploration of sisterhood, loss, and revenge." This one I'm a little bit intrigued on because it seems to be more of a paranormal horror lean. It is YA, but the one aspect of this book that I'm a little like back and forth about is sisters. I'm 50-50 with the sister thing. I think in romance, the sister storylines have never really hit for me, and then I think the only time like a sister relationship was compelling for me was in The Eyes Are the Best Part. But you know, who knows about this one. But in this one, her older sister is found mysteriously drowned in the river that cuts to their small coastal town, and Sojin disregards every rule and uses her ancestral magic to bring Mirei back from the dead. So we get to see the sort of aftermath of her resurrecting her sister. Hopefully this one is a fun horror, and from just the cover alone, it seems very atmospheric, especially because it deals with this very interesting ancestral magic of resurrection. I feel like the atmosphere of this book is going to be very visceral when reading. And then on October 14th, we have a book called Kill the Beast by Sierra Swift. This one has the comps of The Witcher meets Howl's Moving Castle in this debut original fairy tale of revenge, redemption, and friendship. This one is tagged more so of a cozy adult fantasy. It seems to lean almost in the lens of Emily Wilde's Guides to Fairies. Emily Wilde's, yeah, the Emily Wilde one, you know which one I'm talking about. This one feels quite like that, as our main character's brother was murdered by a creature created by the fairy, and so she's dedicated her life to kind of seeking revenge on fairy and these creatures that they create. But in comes our secondary character, who I'm assuming is her love interest, who is very melodramatic and like this very pretty boy kind of archetype, which is very much Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. And then I forgot the name of the love interest in Emily Wilde. He has that kind of archetype about him, and I can definitely see where the Howl's Moving Castle comp comes from. For me, Howl's Moving Castle is like one of my favorite comfort movies and just media in general. I really enjoy that, so that is something that is really selling me on this one. And then on October 21st, we are getting back to the sort of night releases. This one is The Isle in the Silver Sea by Tasha Suri. I've not read from this author before, but I know that they've written quite a few other fantasy novels. In this one, we are set in Britain, and the knight and the witch are fated to fall in love and doom each other over and over, the same tale retold over hundreds of lifetimes. Marin is a witch of the woods, Vina is a knight of the queen's court. When the two women begin to fall for each other, how can they surrender to their desires when to give in is to destroy each other? As they seek a way to break the cycle, a mysterious assassin begins targeting tales like theirs. To survive, the two will need to write a story stronger than the one that the fate has given them. I actually didn't realize this one was queer. I think Tasha Suri's other books also were queer, so I don't know why I didn't think that this one would be queer, but you know, this is fun. I think the cover is cute, but there's something about the hands. It just seems like just pasted on the top. It doesn't very seem uniform, but this isn't like a cover analysis. But yeah, very interested to see another night sort of themed book coming out in the fall. Speaking of nights, we got another one, and this one is actually from Alex E. Harrow, and it's called The Everlasting, coming out on the 28th. I did yap a bit about loving the novella that Alex E. Harrow wrote, Six Deaths of a Saint, and I think the author did talk about that this book was in writing or being drafted at the same time that Six Deaths of a Saint was drafted, but then eventually Six Deaths of a Saint was published, mostly because the novella, it's so short. I don't even know if it's considered a novella. I think it's considered a short story because it's only like 30 pages. But I think the author said they were writing this in tandem. So that's why it has sort of that night theme to it that is quite similar to Six Deaths of a Saint. But the synopsis of this one is quite short. It says, begins where it ends beneath a yew tree. A girl not yet a knight and a boy without a story. It is where she pulls a sword from the heartwood and becomes a legend, and is where, more than 1,000 years later, he will find her and lose her and find her and lose her again. It is where a new story will be written, but whose will it be? I'm really excited about this one, as The Six Deaths of a Saint was only like a 30-page short story, and there was so much yearning and heartache in 30 pages. I am just so excited to see, given that this book is probably over 300, that, you know, the yearning and the angst is probably like all the way up there. So I'm very excited to see how that one goes. The same day we have Hazelthorn by C.G. Drews. I recently read Don't Let the Forest In and really loved the atmosphere of that YA horror. And in this one, we follow our main character, Evander. Evander has lived like a ghost in the forgotten corners of Hazelthorn Estate ever since he was taken in by his reclusive billionaire guardian, Byron Lennox Hall, while he was a child. For his safety, Evander has been given 3 ironclad rules to follow. He can never leave the estate, he can never go into the gardens, and most importantly, he can never be left alone by Byron's charming, underachieving grandson, Laurie. You know what's fun about that is I have a friend named Laurie. It has nothing to do with this book, but I think that C.G. Drews writes such beautiful atmosphere in their books, so I'm very interested to see with this very like creepy and growing estate, what sort of gothic horror comes about in this one. And for our last month of November, I have 2 sequels that I won't go too in depth with, but the first one coming out November 11th is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. This is the sequel to The Will of the Many, and from what I've heard from people who got those little like booklet snippets, it goes right into the book where it left off in book 1. So I'm very anticipating it, as the world really expands in the last like 10% of the book. It goes into a direction that I just did not anticipate, and it really had me extremely intrigued. It is my first series that I have read from James Islington, so I don't have any sort of expectations on where thematic wise he will go with this book, but I'm highly anticipating this one, and I hope that he really pulls off the sequel and keeps me as intrigued and invested as I was with The Will of the Many. And then our last book on this anticipated list comes out November 25th, and it is Fallen Stars by Imani Ebru. This is the sequel to Heavenly Bodies, which is a celestial fantasy. I think this one as well left us off on quite a bit of a cliffhanger, and the author Imani put the characters in a situation that I don't think I've experienced within romantasy before, and it was just very intriguing. So I cannot wait to pick this one up and see where this takes us. Given the motifs on the cover, I feel like we're going to be on a little ship moment for this one, and I'm very excited to see, as there was a sort of water scene in Heavenly Bodies that was very eerie, very creepy, and I'm really anticipating that sort of atmosphere being very, very present in this book, and hopefully we get a lot of fun romantic moments in this as well. But yeah, those are all the books that I'm anticipating up until November 2025. Hopefully I do get to most of the books on this list. Transparently, I've not really been in a reading mood, and I've not really read any books at all this month, which is why you've not seen a vlog from me. But hopefully these ones really kick me back into the reading mood, and I pick some of these up and have a really good time. I would love to know if there's any books that I did not put on this list that you're anticipating the next coming months. I would love to hear about it in the comments below. But you've made it this far and don't have anything else to say, let's put wave emojis in the comment section for Fallen Stars. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!